Welcome back. So this is John, my good friend, cage fighter turned artist, Mr.
Hello.
Goodyear. Not
Hi.
seen is a hat. He recently got a Goodyear hat, which we're all really excited about.
I'm so excited about this hat. I am now starting with my former coworker, now artist slash therapist slash co-podcaster, and
Yeah,
I'm stoked to have you.
right on. Yeah.
Yeah,
And this is not Art Therapy, the podcast. It's just a podcast where we talk about art.
talk about art and stuff that we do and things that happen throughout the week.
Yeah. This
Yeah.
week's episode is about handling rejection. But we're actually going to talk about the art we made last week, which is about rest, recharging, and relaxing. John made some art, as did I, so we'll talk about that. John has some cool stuff to show and share.
Okay, so my first one that I'm going to show is my ticket to relax, basically. So it's permission slip to relax. It's pretty simple. So I just put permission slip to relax, and then the slogan that I put under it, and you can put on whatever slogan feels right for you, but the one that felt right for me. Whatever you've done today was more than enough, was that. And then I put a couple little slogans. So take time, reflect, breathe, and then look at the good and then measure the bad. But I feel like it should have been measure the bad, then look at the good. Would have been a positive way to end that. Just that. So that's our first one,
Yeah,
or
bold.
our permission strip. And
Um,
we're
I
going to take
really
a
like
picture of
this
it.
swirly thing happening going on. It's
Thank
like
you.
drawing me in.
Thank you. Thank you. I was trying to get some like whimsy going with it because I
Yeah.
kept thinking of just writing a ticket or like
Mhm.
the old permission slips that you used to have when you would just be walking through the halls, like be like, I can be here. I can use the bathroom.
One
You know?
question.
Yes,
What do you mean
that's
by
what.
measure the bad?
Okay. So you can measure the bad for me. So measuring the bad for me would basically be like, all right, we're going to take stock of what happened. So for instance, this morning, I tore the spine out of my art book and knocked over my deceased grandmother's cactus. So you're like, okay, I was pretty upset, but I was like, I can fix that spine of the book later. And I can always call one of my aunts, even though it seemed really tragic at the time. My aunts all actually happen to have the clippings of that cactus, so like it's all kind of in different spots. So there is a way for me to actually get the cactus alive and well again. So
Mhm.
measuring the bad would basically be like, all right, this is real. This is what's actually my problem, and then we're gonna work on through it. And that's where I think I should be like, switch it to look at the good. So
Mhm.
like, all right, the good thing is I'm gonna have to call my aunt. I'm gonna probably get scolded a little bit, and then after that it'll be fine. She'll just cut off a piece and send it to me in the mail.
I like how direct that is with it. It's like,
Yep.
oh, I'm going to acknowledge what happened, but I'm going to face it head on. You're like
Yeah.
fighting the challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're kind of going through it, which is really cool. And that's so
Yeah.
you of you.
Thank you. That's the only way I know how to handle it.
Yeah.
And so this was our roadmap. I'm excited to see yours when it's all done up. I started it off on like a multi-path adventure.
Hmm.
So kind of the way D&D would work, or any sort of good Goosebumps story, flip to this page. So it starts off with like a little self-portrait of myself, and I'm pretty beat up, tired looking, and I put fun this. You can fill in the blanks. Then job, life, and responsibilities. Along that, just kind of has like the old, like sort of dotted pathway to go to it. So on there, I have hook them keys. So that'll basically be like something that I do when I get home is I just put my keys on a hook. And from there, I can really just choose my own adventure, aka I can go to the couch for 5 minutes. I can. The first thing that always does happen is I ended up petting my dog. So I put my dog with a little pet me
Frank.
sign underneath it. Then you can scroll down the path, 15 to 20 minutes sitting on the couch,
Hmm.
and then take Frank for a walk, go outside and enjoy nature. We roll on through, maybe with a phone call to my sister, or have a little bit of weed, or enjoy some good music. either way, you can do all of these things in different orders, and it gets a great result either way.
Yeah.
So, so that was my little map for how to rest, relax, and recharge.
It's very emphasis of ritual.
I think so. Oh, I forgot the most important part. Yeah, was the finishing of so where all this goes. So we're not just running in circles. Would be 7:30. Little picture of me looking
Aw.
sort of, yeah, I'm ready. I'm like, and then I wrote like a little slogan. I don't know if you can read it.
Nope.
Okay, life, let's go. I want to see if you still hit like a bitch.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
That's
Starting
like
off
your morning
classy.
mantra.
Yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah, right on.
Yep.
I
So,
like the similarities between your last one and mine. I will show you
yes, let's see.
either I'll tell you a little bit about how I started it.
Mm,
I painted the background first. It's pretty big and it's framed, but it's not in the frame right now because I had to work on it right before. I
yeah.
It's technically not done,
Okay. That's
but
fine. We can work on it together.
oh, thanks. But it's got some similarities for sure.
Yeah.
Yours. I also chose the map, the rest, recharge, relaxation map. And I collage. So the background's painted, which I don't normally do. There's a piece on top, and this is all collaged. You can't really tell how, like, it's not quite separated like a collage normally does. So I tried to have the things kind of blend in from one thing to another. But again,
Okay.
quite done yet.
Walk
Um,
me through it.
okay,
I
yeah.
can zoom in. I can zoom in. This looks awesome.
Beauty, beauty.
This
Okay.
looks so sick.
That helps. Okay, so
Okay.
very like fantasy map-ish. I have
Hmm.
a few different places. One of them is called Meditation Mountain. We have Creativity Canyon, Snack City, which is probably my favorite. There's Art Cove,
Yeah.
Self-Observation Station, Camp Journaling, Beach Bliss, Connection Village, Nature Trail.
Yeah. Oh, those are so good. Like I think I like each one of those ones.
Yeah. I want to
Yeah.
add way more layers to this, but I didn't give myself enough time and kind of did this very last minute,
Look,
which is,
I love the girl who's on the lounger.
yeah, very
Yeah.
cool.
So she's on the beach bliss or she's in camp. I can't read that word.
Camp journaling or
Camp journaling.
nature trail. I don't know why she's chilling and journaling because you can't necessarily super chill when you're journaling because it's
Mm,
very much an active process, but yeah, very nature chills.
that's okay. And it's not your handwriting, by the way. I think we've mentioned it before. I'm super dyslexic. So you're gonna hear, if you
Yeah.
stick with us, I guarantee you, my lifetime promise is I will fudge up regular words.
Yeah. No, anyways, we don't have to get into that, but I hear that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my art. And I'm really glad. At first I was like, oh, I have art homework. I have to do this. And then once I got into it, I'm like, oh, I'm actually getting into this. I like it. I'm glad I encouraged myself to make art.
Yeah,
Grateful
absolutely.
that we can do that together as well.
Honestly, it's a neat way to keep on track. Like you have your own regular projects that you're doing, and then you're like, oh, cool. Like it's like I haven't been in school for a minute. So like this is kind of you're like, I have to get this done for Miss Linnea.
Yeah.
I don't
Or I'll
want
make
to
you write lines.
we can't disappoint our fan. Hi, mom. We can't disappoint her. We have to do our one or two projects.
They're gonna want to see it.
Whoever you are, we appreciate you.
Right on.
Yeah.
I think this will transition nicely into our theme, this week's theme of rejection, rejection, or handling rejection.
Yeah.
You were pretty excited to talk about this based on
I
last week's enthusiasm. What's up with that?
I don't know. I think I got tons of experience with rejection. That's probably why I was like, unfortunately, I win the rejection Olympics. Sometimes I feel
Okay,
like we
yeah.
all have that main character issue where you're like, this is only happening to me, and this has never happened to me. And I it's so I'm like a middle-aged man now, which is
Ooh,
scary and spooky to think about it. I'm 35.
middle-aged.
All right. So yeah, I think I've been through a fair amount, and it's funny to watch some of the younger guys in my life go through some of the same things. Like, actually, the other day I was talking to a friend of mine, and he's like a young actor, and like he looks like The Rock with hair. He's a beautiful man, and like, and he's and he was like really upset that he had like booked a commercial, and then it didn't fall through, didn't pan through, and I was like, hey. I've literally been in your same shoes. Like, I was asked to be a model for some things, and like I've done a few commercials, and then they just never get made, or like you get told you're booked a gig, it's going to be awesome, and then like you make the mistake of telling people that
Oh,
you're going to do this, and I think that's what he may have done. And
mhm.
so like I actually ran into him, and I was just like, hey bro, like how are you? And he's like, my girlfriend isn't talking to me, and I think that like I'm about to like not get this acting gig. And I was just like, oh dude, don't worry, it happens. Like, it's happened to me, and I'm fine. But at the time frame, it's like this isn't like you're just like this is the most crippling thing that's ever happened by people just rejecting like what you think. I'm like, man, it could be a lot. Like, like they might not have money to make the commercial. It just you might not be the right fit for the commercial, but like you can. It's hard for you to not take it personally. So
Mhm.
like I
Oh,
was like, oh my God. I was like, this kid, I was like, we were meant to meet right now. I was like, it's fine. And we had a good chat about it.
it's
We were,
hard for it not to suck immediately the second it happens.
do you know what the toughest pain is?
Go, I don't know. All of
Current.
them.
Current. That's always the worst one. Your current
Oh,
pain.
yes,
It
yes,
is
yes.
genuinely the worst one. Like I've broken my leg, my arms, my chest. But if I stub my toe, like that's not going to hit me in the long run. But if I stub my toe, I'm like, oh my God, like just no, 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 nothing could be worse than this. And you're like, okay. 5 minutes later, you just take a seat, and you're like, that was kind of embarrassing.
Yeah.
Like I took the wind right out of my sails.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah, I've never heard it worded like that before, but and even
yeah,
if you're like, what's the worst pain? I'm like, that's kind of subjective. Pain,
yeah.
it's hard to really measure that sort of thing.
It's like it's obviously not the worst pain. Somebody's going to come along and be like, our one listener's like, I was hit by 3 cars. You're like, oh, well.
Yeah,
But
it's hard not to compare ourselves.
it's hard to basically just be like, take some sort of like a real rejection and be like, it wasn't me, or it wasn't my time.
Yeah.
It's tough to deal with.
Yeah, one of the, oh, we forgot to share about the art directives, but one of the art directives
That's
was
okay.
rewriting, or was it rewriting or reframing rejection? The idea of like thinking of an experience where we were rejected and turning that story into a fairy tale.
I think that's a wonderful idea.
Yeah. And the way you had said something of just going from that immediate felt sense of this is about me, this is very personal, to this just wasn't me. Like to be able to pivot that is kind of
Yeah,
the vibe of this art
yeah,
invitation. The other two, one of them is called rejection space, or it doesn't even have to be a space, it could also be a thing. So create either a space or a thing that can help you in holding or feeling that sense of being rejected. And then the last one is rejection evolution. So, you know how we were just talking about how that immediate felt sense of rejection sucks. And I guess in the ultimate goal is to move through that and realize that it wasn't for you. So what happens in between that immediate reaction and that desired reaction? Because I'm sure there's little things that happen along the way. So what would that look like?
yeah.
How does it evolve over time?
It hurts less, I'd find.
Hmm.
Like, I don't know. What was your first job rejection?
Oh God,
Let's
that's a
hear
good
it.
question.
Let's hear it.
Um, Ooh, I what I can remember was before I started my business, I was trying to be an art therapist and like sent out my resumes. I must have sent out like 50. I had a few job interviews, but
Yeah,
I no one wanted to hire me for whatever reason, which is
yeah,
fine. I had one of the worst job interviews I have ever had in my life. I don't want to say I blacked out because I very much remember it, but I kind of had a panic attack, but tried to talk myself through it and pretend like I was having a bad time. And whatever I was saying was not making sense. And it was the reason I got so nervous is because two of the people conducting the interview were psychologists. And I was like, oh, you guys know a lot of stuff. And I immediately was like, oh, I can't do this. I'm just some art therapist. I basically didn't feel like I was worthy enough to do the job. And I probably, I knew the answers to the questions. I think I just like totally freaked out. And it was like, I was so bad. It's embarrassing when I think about it. But also, yeah, that sucked. And I felt so cringe for like 3 days.
Oh
Um,
yeah. It sticks
but
with you when you close your eyes. I've
oh,
got
yeah.
those. I've
Oh,
got I've got a
yeah.
night time's worth of
Yeah.
those. Yeah, yeah.
But ultimately, I ended up making my own job. So it was for the best, but I didn't know that at the time. I was just like, oh, this job I really wanted, but I
Yeah.
failed miserably in the job interview.
It was the perfect job. If I had this job, my life would have been perfect. Like those type of
Yeah.
things. And you're like, not really.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
like I can speak on that with like basically most stuff, like from school to to relationships to just to work. And like I'd say like with school, like starting off very young, I was really dyslexic and would constantly be in the bottom half of things. But like it made me look at how to pass classes in a different way.
Mm.
And then with like relationships, oh God, you meet somebody and you're like, this right here, this is perfect. It could never be better than this. And oh boy, were you wrong. And I'm glad those things didn't work because
Mhm.
I just would have been stuck in those boxes. And it leads you to meet other people. You learn how to just put up barriers or not barriers, but like just, yeah,
Yeah.
you put up your boundary. And since then, it's like you find less people, but the people that show up are fucking bomb.
Yeah.
Versus like when you're younger, you're like, whatever this happens, so this will work, and I hope my friends like this person. Versus like, no, like this is this person, like I've got these rules and whatever, and like I fit them, they fit you, and you just roll from there, you
Hmm.
know?
I feel like that the concept of comparison comes up a lot of like if I got rejected for this grant or whatever, and then I see who does get it,
Yeah,
it's that immediate comparison of like in this very specific situation, this person is objectively better than me.
that comes through, that shines through real good. Like when you would see somebody, Timmy was like better than you and beat you and got first place, you got second place. Like I we grew up with weird coaches in a very competitive wrestling world where like I remember I had this one guy and he's like his father goes like this. He got second place at a really, really tough high end tournament. And his father goes like this. He's Russian and he goes, bronze medal is the medal of a loser, Ilya.
Ouch.
And I was like, he's in grade 10. Like he's gonna be amazing. He's gonna be one of the best wrestlers that this country's ever seen. And he's only in grade 10. It's his first year. And it's like, but like that hyper
Whoa.
competitiveness led us to just be these, it would either make you or break you. For him, luckily, it made him. He became a doctor, came second in the world at University Wrestling, and was a phenom. So like it's a double-edged sword
But
of
is he okay?
I think he's doing good.
Okay.
He has an amazing wife and a cute as heck dog, and I think for our generation that's made it.
Okay. I was
Yeah.
mostly speaking psychologically because
Oh, who knows? We're all a little
yeah.
damaged.
But also, I realize that my perception of humans can be skewed because so much of my time is spent listening to people's struggles as a
Oh,
therapist.
yeah.
End up getting this kind of very struggle-centered way of viewing like a small selection of humans in the world. What this did bring up, well, one thing that comes to mind when I think of rejection is how the art community is very good for helping me face rejection.
Yeah.
Of like applying for art grants or submitting art for art shows, or just there's a lot of opportunity for rejection. And there's so many good artists out there that
Yeah.
it's going to happen a lot. And
Yeah.
I think me 10, 15 years ago often cry or like feel really bad if I didn't get chosen.
Yeah.
But it's kind of a numbers game and it ends up getting easier.
Yeah. It does. You just kind of have to take these things head on. With
And
the
that seems to be your way of approaching things. And I think some people have a tendency to either avoid seems to be a popular one, I think.
I see that, and I don't understand how. I mean, I don't know. It's just kind of like the way that I was sort of put into things, where it was like you have to see what's coming next, and I think that comes a lot with moving.
Okay, yeah.
So, like, yeah, like constantly adapting to changes. And I find with art, basically, I've been okay with like getting immediate feedback from pretty much everybody. And I think that it's worked out really well because like I do take in things like sometimes somebody will say something and in my mind I'm like, okay, but I think I'm just gonna keep doing it that way anyways,
Hmm.
and that's okay. Like I think to get those types of feedbacks, those types of rejections, like I remember I was working on a set of t-shirts for a company and basically like I put in all this time and effort. And so the way that you would present things is like you kind of have like your good one, you're okay, maybe we'll feel this one out, and then something just kind of out of left field that you're like, all right, I'm not sure, but like it's here, but I'm not even gonna bank on this one because I put all my eggs into this one basket that I've been working very, very hard on. And I remember basically being like, here's my and I did like this big showcase for like the shirt, right? They do the one that I'm selling, but you also have these other ones.
Yeah.
And I remember the guy basically being like, just sort of like brush right by mine, and he's like, nah, that one's garbage. Like just like literally was like, nah, I don't like who came up with that. And I was like, oh, fuck. And he's like, who made this beauty? And I'm like, all also me, but like not. I didn't put anything into it. But he was like, I love it, and I'm like, really? Like I was like, this isn't the one, right? And he's like, and he showed it to like his whole team, and everyone's like, this is amazing. And I was like, what about this one? And they're like, it's crap. I was like, oh fuck. So like that was my yeah, I'm okay with it. But I was like, okay, sometimes you just gotta swallow your pride and be like, I guess I was wrong, or I guess I was not in the right. And even though I had this idea that I'm like, I make you this kick-ass shirt, you like this. And they're like, nah, we don't even like it a little. Like here's the one that you put like 2 seconds of effort in, but they're like, this one rocks.
Yeah. That really
Yeah.
speaks to just how different people's view of art is. And it reminds me of something you said earlier, or you were talking about sports. I know that's a very generic thing.
Yeah.
Of in sports, there's like a definite winner and a definite, I don't even want to say loser, but that's
It is.
the
It is. It
non-winner.
is. It is winners and losers. It's winners and losers. We could say non-winners, but that sounds longer and worse. Losers, you just like
I
it gets
tried.
over it fast. You get over it fast.
Yeah.
Not a. I'm a non-winner.
Non-winner.
Yeah.
Um, so there's a first, a sec, like it's very clear, but art is not that. Art
No.
can be an A plus for one person, and then, everyone's gonna have different strokes for different folks, you
Oh
know?
yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Absolutely. So like I totally get that where something's like, yeah, this is amazing to me, and you're like, really, this one? And they're like, yep. I was like, okay then, and yeah, you just roll with it. You just
I was working at a restaurant a few years ago, and in that for 1 month I had my art up on the wall, and it was just a random collection of a whole bunch of stuff. It didn't really have a lot of themes to play
yeah.
with, just a collection of art. And I had one of my favorite paintings I've ever done is a set of legs crossed, and you can see the back of someone's head, and it's essentially like someone lying down with their legs up. Very bright red. It's this tall, skinny painting. I absolutely love it. And it was a friend of mine's, their favorite art piece. And they've actually since died. So I particularly,
Oh wow.
I was serving someone who was sitting right next to them. And he
Yeah.
come up to the bar and asked for his bill. And I was like, oh, can you remind me where you're sitting? He might not have even been sitting in my section. Anyways, that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But he was like, "Oh, I'm sitting there next to the ugly painting." And I kid you not, there were two other coworkers around who were listening to this, and I
Yeah.
just thought it was funny. And I was
Yeah.
asking him questions about it, or I might have said like, "Oh, that's my ugly painting." And he felt so awkward. He had his foot in his mouth. He's like, "Well, I'm not really into art," and he felt really bad. And I was just like, 10 years ago, I would not have handled this well, but now I just think it's funny.
Oh man, just calling things ugly as hell. Oh, damn. I'm sorry. I'm glad you took it that way.
Yeah.
Like that's so tough to basically just be like next to the ugly. Oh, if somebody said my shirt was ugly, I think I don't give a fuck. I'll still be like, oh damn, that hurts. That does hurt. You know. But
And that kind of
it's
reminds
rough.
me of this one thing I've learned through either art therapy school or being an art therapist is to whatever people say about you is generally less about you and more about their own perception and existence in the world,
Oh yeah. If you look at the meanest bullies in your school or whatever you were growing up,
your work or your,
oh my goodness. Like if you look at what their home life was like, there's probably a reason they're gonna knock your books over on your way.
yeah,
And same with him. He's probably just sitting at his coffee trying to like apply to the next job or dealing with whatever he's dealing with. And
yeah.
then he's just like, how can I slightly take this out on anybody?
But also, my art is not for everyone. Some people are going to love it, some people are going to hate it. That's just how the art world is.
I like yours. I like the one that you have with the bear. And he's like, "Hi, nice to meet you and I love you." It's witty, it's quirky, and it's funny to see somebody take a look at something and basically be, I want this snippet and I want to add it with this snippet and just that be it. Because like you appreciate whatever picture that is.
Yeah.
Like you're not just looking at one or two things, like you're taking multitudes of things to put it together to make one again.
Hmm.
So it's like they can either individually tell their own story, or like you can add them together and it makes another, and then you add another piece and it just adds. It just kind of just all folds. Or you make two and you put them together, makes no sense. You put three together, no sense. But then you put that fourth or fifth piece in there, and you're like, now I'm starting to see something here.
Mm.
So like it at first somebody might just be like, yeah, you just copied and pasted and put like that. You're like, that's a layman's way to put it.
Mhm.
Sure. But as somebody who's been drawing and sees things all the time, I do enjoy your style.
Thank you.
Comes down to it. Yeah.
I mostly do collage. Maybe like 90% of my art is collage, and it's almost made me feel like an other in the art
Hmm.
community, in that art, and I know this not to be true, but there's this like painting and sculpting, that's art. And if you
Yes.
don't do either one of those things, or drawing, of course, like very traditional.
Yeah.
So if you do something
Yeah.
textile based, or if you make collages, it's almost seen as this lesser form of art and more into like crafts or whatever. So I've
Cool. You're the bad.
always,
You're the bad boy of the art community.
but I've not always felt connected in the art community in my own town, which is weird.
That's fine.
Yeah.
We can well, like. It's funny you would think because I feel like that's a space that like in the art world, you just want more people to be doing stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like I mean, it's not like there's a whole lot of people out there doing art in any form, really. Like is like with today's society, with how much people need to move and be working and doing other things, side hustles,
Yeah.
plus holding down regular jobs. Just if somebody's like, hey, I got time to see if I see a snippet here, a snippet there, a snippet there, and I want to make something with that,
Mhm.
then let them just do that. Like I kind of feel sort of the same way when it comes to paint versus I guess there's gangs. We got art gangs. And this is the way that I'm because I'm still new at it, just figuring it out. Be
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
okay, it's the pen boys. Like the guys who like sketch stuff with pens, like versus like the guys who are using like paint and using like what do they call it, the knives or whatever to like
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So they paint with a knife. So they're just like doing real big, thick, chunky pieces. And I was like, that's really expensive. So I'm like, I'm not gonna get into that. And when I first started my journey, there was no way I was putting paint on my couch. It just wasn't happening, except for the time me and my sister got high and then we tried to do Bob Ross. That was
Okay.
first of all, he's a maniac.
Bob Ross.
Oh my God, have you tried to do a Bob Ross painting?
I don't think so. Not my style.
Dear listener, try like your homework. One other piece, side quest on the regular homework is if you got it and you got the time, try and do a Bob Ross painting. You can go to the dollar store and you can pick up sheet paints. It'll cost you like maybe $5 to get yourself like a little book and the paint set. Try and follow along with Bob Ross. It's crazy. He moves at a militant speed. He's not waiting for anybody. Don't try and go ahead of him because that's what I try to do. That's what Zoe tried to do. It was a disaster. We tried to be like, I think a good tree would go here, and we're like, no, just follow Bob.
Had other
Don't
plans.
don't deviate from the plan, and you're gonna end up with a beautiful piece from Bob Ross. Yeah.
Did we have, I know there are some questions we had. I wonder what your hot take is on this. The idea that rejection can stop us or encourage us, or maybe a secret third thing. And it's never just like a this is always this. It's exploring a time when rejection either stopped you in your tracks or encouraged you to keep moving.
I think rejection, just like Bruce Lee says, you got to be like water.
Okay.
You can't be like you can fit into any container. You just got to flow through with whatever. So like say that door is closed on you. You can't just wait outside that door. That's just not a solution. Like if like whether that be with a relationship, you're with somebody and they're like, I don't want to be with you. You're like, well, I only want to be with you. That will not work ever. No matter how bad you want that. If there is a job where they're just like, yeah, you're not qualified or you just didn't get it or somebody else got it, you can't sit outside there. You have to go on and move. You have to move and start doing something to sort of build to the next level. Rejections do only make you stronger. They make you like they help you be that resilient. And like you can see by being rejected in your past, you're like, okay, this won't work. Like these are things that areas that I need to improve. And you either do or you don't. And if you when you do build up and improve, you're going to be far past the place where you thought you wanted to be. You'll
Hmm.
be overqualified, I'd find,
Yeah.
for the positions you were looking for. Like is when it comes to like you made your own practice, right? Versus being like trying to ask for somebody to do
Hmm.
there to ask for like permission to work there. You started building your own,
Hmm.
and now like the Linnea of like 5 years forward is way overqualified for the position you were trying to get. Like now,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. This reminds me of an art practice. I don't know who I learned this from. It might have been a friend, might have even been a client of
Hmm.
writing letters to your future self. And the way, so if I wrote one today, I would give myself a specific date in the future of when to read it. And I would just write in the present tense as if I'm writing to someone I care about and talking about all these wonderful things that have happened between now and then, but talking about them as if they're already happening or if they've already happened. And it's really cool to see these layers of, okay, I'm opening this now, and Linnea from a year ago thought I was going to be here. And it's fun when it aligns up. It's fun when I totally miss the mark on things. It's fun when new things come up and I
Yeah,
could have even predicted them. So,
yeah.
in this fun little practice I've been doing for the last year or so, and I highly encourage it.
Have you ever done this? I don't know if this is just me being weird, but like if you're ever a little high or maybe even drunk or or just feeling like super grateful for the places you are in your life, closing your eyes, opening your eyes, and basically be like, hey, past self, this is where you're at now. I was like, I hope you can see this is where we're at. Like, because it's like you might just be on the couch and looking at the back of somebody else's head and being like, huh, if I had shown me in 2016, that's so long ago now. But like, if you look at where you're at, who your partner is, where you live, what your life looks like, their head would explode.
Hmm.
That guy was supposed to be a soldier, be with this particular partner for their whole lives. Now you're like, whoa, you're all these different things because
Hmm.
the path kind of kept rolling.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. Have you ever done that, or is that just me?
I like how yours is in reverse.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's really about grounding and gratitude, which is always a good thing.
Yeah. I was with my gardening shears the other day and I was just clipping some hedges there. I was trying to make them round, nice and round hedges.
Cool.
And because I'm old people. And I was like I was clipping them and then I just had this weird PTSD moment where and I was like I didn't think I was gonna live to be a gardener.
Oh,
Like like where the hell did that come from? You
yeah.
know, you're like, my God. And you're like, now you're out here just like worrying about the shapes of hedges. Life is freaking crazy, dude.
Yeah.
Like from all the bad scenarios or whatever's happened in your past to basically be like warming up to do a cage fight to clipping hedges. We are different animals now.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
One of my favorite art therapy directives to do is what I call a transitional self-portrait, and it
mm,
encourages someone to reflect on different stages of their lives and to look at themselves. And then once all the little figures are made, if that's where you get to, you can have them have conversations with one another. It's super cute.
that would
Well,
be,
dark if it needs to get dark, but it can be fun.
oh my God. I think like that's something I'm gonna do.
Ooh,
Man, should it be a 5 year increment?
whatever. It doesn't have to
Yeah,
be
yeah.
whatever it needs to
I'll
be.
start. I guess I'll probably. I don't know. I think,
Your different eras.
bro, 19 to now.
Yeah, why not? I don't think I told you what we're doing next week as our theme.
What's up next week?
Meaning,
Okay.
or like meaninglessness or meaningfulness or meaning in general. John and I are going to make art about that theme and talk about it next week instead of doing the different week things because we were getting confused. And I don't know why we didn't originally do it that way, but anyways,
We're learning. We're growing.
yeah, exactly. We
We're
are.
growing. Listen to us, listener. We promise next week it will be. We will have this ironed out and there will be no more kinks. I swear. No, I'm
The road to perfection is
yeah.
paved in chaos.
One thick soda at a time.
Right on. Alrighty.
Yeah.
We'll see you then, everyone.
Okay. Adios, amigos.